Have you ever wondered why, even in quiet moments, your mind refuses to rest? Why peace feels close, yet always just beyond reach? Picture lying awake at night, replaying regrets, rehearsing fears, chasing futures that haven't arrived. Buddhism reveals a haunting truth. The mind creates storms even under clear skies. Most suffering isn't life, it's interpretation. You don't need proof. Just look honestly at how you're living. If thinking were freedom, wouldn't you already feel free? Before we begin, subscribe to Deep Wisdom, your doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight, and stay till the end for a powerful bonus lesson. Today, we expose the silent illusion trapping your awareness, dissolve false beliefs, and uncover the moment everything shifts. Watch closely, because once you understand this, your relationship with life, thought, and peace will never be the same again. Stop using the mind when not needed. Why do you live inside your thoughts, even when there is nothing to solve? Tonight, imagine a monk sitting by a small candle, watching the flame move without effort. He whispers, "The mind is a tool, not a home." Yet, most of us never put the tool down. We carry it everywhere, like a torch in bright daylight, blinding ourselves with light that is no longer needed. We believe constant thinking means wisdom. We believe noise means awareness. But the mind was never meant to replace life itself. It was meant to serve it, gently, when called upon. A knife is useful, but dangerous when held constantly. The mind is like that knife. It can cut through confusion, yet it can also wound you when you never release it. Each thought becomes a burden. Each story becomes a cage. And slowly, you forget how to simply be. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine setting down a heavy backpack you forgot you were carrying. Feel the straps fall from your shoulders. Notice the space in your body. This is what happens when you stop living in your head. Where do you think without need? What are you afraid to stop thinking about? Who are you without the constant mental narration? A disciple once asked the monk, "If I stop thinking, will I become empty?" The monk smiled and replied, "Silence is not empty. It is where your true self has been waiting." In modern life, the mind is always running, planning your career, replaying conversations, imagining futures that never arrive. This endless commentary creates suffering. You are not tired because life is heavy. You are tired because your mind never rests. The practice is simple, yet profound. When there is no problem, do not summon the mind. When you walk, just walk. When you eat, just taste. When you breathe, just feel the breath enter and leave. The mind can return when needed, like a servant called by a bell. This is the turning point. The moment you stop living in your head, you return to your body, your senses, your quiet presence. Anxiety softens, fear loosens its grip. Productivity becomes effortless because energy is no longer wasted on endless inner noise. The monk leaned closer to the candle and said, "The mind builds the cage. Awareness holds the key. The key is not more thinking. The key is knowing when not to think." So tonight, pause. Set down the torch in daylight. Let the backpack fall. Sit in the simple fact that you are here and nothing needs to be solved right now. And remember this: you are not suffering because life is hard. You are suffering because your mind never stops talking. What if the moment you silence it, everything you seek quietly appears? We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My mind, my mastery," 2. Your mind isn't tired, it's noisy. You say you are tired, yet your body is still strong. Listen closely. Your mind is not tired. It is noisy. Like a crowded room where no one stops speaking, your inner world never rests, never breathes, never becomes quiet enough to heal. A monk once whispered to his disciple, "Still water reflects the moon. Your mind is a lake, but endless ripples disturb its surface. How can you see truth when the water never becomes still? How can you feel peace when thoughts collide like waves in a storm? You replay the past. You rehearse the future. You judge every feeling. This is not effort. This is sound. And sound consumes energy. Silence, on the other hand, restores what thinking has taken. Close your eyes. Imagine your thoughts settling like dust in still air. See them fall slowly, gently, without force. As they settle, clarity returns, like sunlight entering a quiet room. What happens when you allow silence? Do you trust stillness, or does it frighten you? What are you escaping through noise? A disciple once asked, "If I stop thinking, will I disappear?" The monk replied softly, "When the noise ends, you finally appear." The voice in your head is not you. It is a guest who never learned to leave. In modern life, silence feels uncomfortable. You reach for your phone, your worries, your plans, your fears. But every thought you chase becomes another ripple in the lake. And the moon, your true nature, remains unseen. Here is the practice. When the mind starts speaking without purpose, do not argue. Do not fight, just notice the sound. Let it pass like wind through trees. Return to the breath, return to the body, return to this moment. This is the spiritual turning point. When noise fades, energy returns. When thinking softens, emotions loosen. When silence arrives, you remember who you are beneath the commentary. The monk looked at the quiet lake and said, "The sky was always there, only the ripples hid it." Your peace is not missing. Your mind is simply too loud to hear it. So tonight, allow one moment of silence. Let the dust settle. Let the lake become still. And ask yourself, with gentle honesty, if silence gives me back my life, why have I been so afraid to listen? 3. Suffering is manufactured, not inherited. Something painful happens, and you feel it instantly. But the deeper suffering does not come from the event. It begins when the mind starts arguing with reality, whispering, "This should not be happening." A monk once said, "Resistance multiplies pain. Pain is a natural wave. Suffering is the storm you create by fighting the wave." Life moves, you tighten. And in that tightening, the mind builds a prison out of moments that were meant to pass. Think of quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. The mind struggles with life the same way. It resists loss, change, uncertainty, and emotion. And with each resistance, the ground pulls you further into suffering. Close your eyes. Picture yourself floating gently on a river instead of fighting the current. Feel your body soften. Feel the water hold you. Notice how effort dissolves when you stop pushing against what already is. What are you resisting right now? Can you soften instead of tighten? What happens when you allow life to move as it is? A disciple once asked the monk, "If I accept everything, will I become weak?" The monk replied, "A tree that bends with the wind does not break." Acceptance is not surrendering your power. It is surrendering the war inside your mind. In modern life, suffering is manufactured in small, invisible ways. You replay words that hurt you. You fight the past that cannot be changed. You demand certainty from a future that has none. Each demand becomes a silent battle, and every battle drains your spirit. Here is the practice. When pain arises, feel it without commentary. When disappointment appears, notice the tightness without judgment. When fear visits, allow it to breathe without pushing it away. The mind can observe without attacking reality. This is the spiritual turning point. Pain may still come, but suffering dissolves when resistance ends. In that softness, compassion grows. In that acceptance, clarity appears. The monk watched leaves float on the stream and whispered, "The water does not suffer when leaves fall upon it. You are the water. Events are the leaves. Your suffering begins only when you refuse to flow. So tonight, release one struggle. Stop arguing with what already is. Float instead of fight. And ask yourself, with quiet courage, if I stopped resisting life, how much suffering would disappear before the next sunrise? 4. Release the story of who you were. You carry your past like an invisible shrine, lighting candles to memories that no longer breathe. Old failures, betrayals, shameful moments, these become your name, your story, your identity. But a monk once whispered, "Yesterday does not exist except in thought." You are not walking with an anchor on land. You are dragging an anchor through the sky. Memory becomes identity when the mind refuses to release it. You say, "This is who I am," and point to wounds that have already closed. You call yourself broken because of a moment that no longer lives. Yet the present stands untouched, waiting for you to arrive. Close your eyes. See old memories dissolving like mist under the sunrise. Watch the images soften, lose their sharp edges, fade into light. Feel how the body loosens when the past stops speaking so loudly. Who would you be without your past? What are you afraid to release? Is your identity, memory, or presence? A disciple once asked the monk, "If I forget who I was, will I lose myself?" The monk replied, "When the past fades, the self finally appears. You are not your history. You are the awareness that remembers it." In modern life, the mind builds a shrine to yesterday. You revisit old conversations, replay old mistakes, worship old victories. Each memory becomes a role you feel forced to perform again. And so, you live as a character, written by a mind that refuses to turn the page. Here is the practice. When a memory arises, do not cling, do not reject. Notice it like a cloud passing through the sky of awareness. Say softly, "This was, but this is not." Return to the breath, the body, the quiet presence of now. This is the spiritual turning point. When memory loosens, identity softens. When identity softens, freedom enters. You no longer defend a story, you simply live the moment unfolding. The monk gazed at the horizon and said, "The sunrise does not argue with the night. It simply appears. You do not need to erase the past. You only need to stop carrying it into every breath." So tonight, lay down one story, release one label, let one memory dissolve into mist. And ask yourself, with fearless honesty, if I stopped living as my past, who would I become in this quiet, living moment? We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My mind, my mastery." 5. Your mind creates drama to feel alive. When life becomes quiet, something inside you grows restless. The mind begins to search for problems, replay conflicts, invent worries, revive old wounds. A monk once whispered, "Stillness threatens the ego." The mind creates drama to feel alive. Chaos gives the ego identity. When everything is calm, it fears disappearing. So, it feeds the fire of emotion, even when warmth is no longer needed. It turns small sparks into arguments, misunderstandings, fears, and stories. Imagine a fire burning in a peaceful room. The room is already warm, yet someone keeps adding wood. The flames rise, the smoke thickens, and suddenly the room becomes unbearable. This is how the mind behaves when it cannot accept peace. Close your eyes. See the emotional flames slowly cooling into gentle warmth. Feel the heat soften. Feel the smoke clear. Notice how calm does not erase life. It makes life breathable. 6. Where do you create unnecessary conflict? What do you gain from drama? Can peace become your new excitement? A disciple once asked the monk, "Why do I feel empty when nothing is wrong?" The monk replied, "You confuse excitement with aliveness. Silence feels empty only to a mind addicted to noise. The ego thrives on movement, on tension, on stories where it is the hero or the victim. In modern life, drama becomes entertainment. You scroll, compare, react, argue in your mind with people who are not even present. You rehearse conversations that may never happen. You chase emotional highs and lows, calling them purpose, calling them passion. But beneath all this noise, there is a quiet pulse of being. It does not need conflict to exist. It does not need fear to feel real. It simply is. Here is the practice. When the mind creates a problem, pause. Ask gently, is this real or is this fuel for the fire? When an emotional surge arises, breathe and let it cool. Do not starve the fire with force. Let it burn itself out in awareness. This is the spiritual turning point. When drama fades, clarity arrives. When chaos softens, joy becomes subtle but stable. When the ego is not fed, presence becomes the quiet center of your life. The monk watched embers glowing in the dark and said, "Fire is beautiful, but it must know when to rest." Your emotions are not enemies. Your thoughts are not demons. They are flames that must learn to warm, not consume. So tonight, feed the fire less. Choose one moment of peace over one moment of reaction. Let calm become your new intensity. And ask yourself with gentle courage, if I stopped feeding drama, what kind of silent, steady life would rise from these ashes? 6. Discipline your attention, not your life. You try to discipline your life, control every outcome, shape every event, yet life remains wild, unpredictable, vast. A monk once said, "Attention is the doorway to freedom." You cannot control life, but you can guide where your awareness rests. Where attention goes, reality forms. The mind is like a wild horse, pulling you through fear, desire, distraction. You tighten the reins with force, yet it only resists more. Gentle hands calm the horse. Gentle awareness calms the mind. Close your eyes. Watch your breath as a slow tide entering and leaving. No need to change it. No need to judge it. Just notice how the mind softens when attention returns to something simple and real. Where does your attention wander? What happens when you guide it gently? Who are you without distraction? A disciple once asked the monk, "How do I become disciplined?" The monk replied, "Do not discipline the world, discipline the place where you look. Your suffering is not always caused by events. It is caused by attention scattered across regrets, fantasies, comparisons, and fears. In modern life, attention is stolen constantly. Notifications, ambitions, memories, expectations. Each pulls the mind in a different direction, leaving you fragmented, restless, exhausted. You feel lost because your awareness is never fully here. Here is the practice. Choose one. Anchor, the breath, the body, a sound, a sensation. When the mind wanders, do not punish it. Gently return, like guiding a child back to the path. Each return is a quiet act of discipline. This is the spiritual turning point. When attention gathers, the mind becomes spacious. When awareness settles, emotions soften without force. When distraction fades, presence becomes your natural home. The monk placed his hand over his heart and said, "A lamp does not chase darkness. It simply stays where it is. You do not need to chase peace. You need to stay with what is already here." Discipline is not harshness. It is devotion to the present moment. It is choosing reality over imagination, breath over noise, awareness over habit. So tonight, guide your attention once more. Let it rest on the quiet rhythm within you. Let the wild horse feel your gentle hands. And ask yourself, with quiet clarity, if my attention shapes my world, what world am I creating with where I look each moment? 7. Thoughts are not reality. You wake up inside a story already in progress. A voice tells you who you are, what will happen, what others think, what you must fear. A monk once whispered, "The cloud is not the sky," yet you mistake the cloud for the sky and build your life inside passing weather. Thoughts are not reality. They are narrators, not witnesses. They describe, exaggerate, predict, judge. And when you believe every sentence, you imprison yourself in imagined worlds. The mind casts shadows and calls them walls. You stop walking because you believe something is blocking you, but when you touch it, there is nothing there. Only a shadow projected by a light you forgot was behind you. Close your eyes. Watch your thoughts pass like drifting clouds across a vast, silent sky. Do not chase them. Do not fight them. Notice how the sky remains untouched, no matter what shape the clouds take. Which thoughts do you believe blindly? What happens when you observe instead of obey? Can you rest as awareness without becoming the story? A disciple once asked the monk, "If my thoughts are not real, what is?" The monk replied, "The one who sees them. You are not the narrator. You are the listener, sitting quietly beyond the noise." In modern life, thoughts feel urgent and convincing. You are failing. They will reject you. This will never change. These sentences feel like facts, but they are only echoes inside a mind conditioned by fear. Here is the practice. When a thought arises, label it gently. Thinking. Do not argue, do not analyze. Let it float by, like a leaf on water. Return to the breath, the body, the simple presence that does not speak in words. This is the spiritual turning point. When thoughts lose authority, freedom appears. When narration softens, reality becomes vivid and direct. When you stop believing every sentence, peace slips quietly into your hands. The monk looked at the open sky and said, "Clouds cannot stain the sky, no matter how dark they become. Your mind can storm, but your awareness remains clear. You are not damaged by thoughts. You are simply forgetting that they are passing visitors. So tonight, watch one thought rise and fall. Do not follow it. Do not resist it. Let it pass and feel the space that remains. And ask yourself, with calm courage, if my thoughts are not reality, what vast silent truth has been waiting beneath them all this time? We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My mind, my mastery." 8. Let silence teach you. When words fall away, something deeper begins to speak. The monk sits by a candle and says softly, "Stillness reveals." Wisdom does not shout. It waits in the quiet spaces you keep avoiding. Your mind believes silence is empty, but silence is not empty. It is full of what noise hides. When the wind of thought stops, the candle of awareness finally illuminates the room. Until then, you only see shadows dancing on the walls of your mind. Close your eyes for 10 breaths. Do not search. Do not judge. Let each breath arrive and leave like a visitor who needs no conversation. In this quiet, something subtle begins to emerge. What appears when you become quiet? Do you trust silence? What are you afraid to hear? A disciple once asked the monk, "Why does silence feel uncomfortable?" The monk replied, "Because truth is gentle and you have become addicted to noise. Silence removes distractions. Without distraction, you meet yourself without filters, excuses, or stories." In modern life, silence is rare. Music, voices, notifications, inner dialogue. You fill every gap, every pause, every empty moment. But each sound becomes another layer between you and clarity. Silence does not erase life. It reveals it. In silence, you feel emotions without commentary. In silence, you sense intuition before thought interrupts. In silence, you notice the simple miracle of being alive. Here is the practice. Sit without seeking. Do not try to meditate perfectly. Just be still for 10 breaths, then 10 more. When thoughts arise, let them fade like footprints in sand. Return to the quiet that was never truly lost. This is the spiritual turning point. When silence becomes familiar, wisdom becomes available. When stillness is trusted, fear loses its voice. When the mind rests, the heart begins to speak clearly. The monk watched the candle glow steadily and said, "When the wind stops, the flame shows its true shape. Your truth is not loud. It does not argue or demand. It waits patiently beneath layers of sound. Silence is not the absence of life. It is the presence of reality. It is where peace is not created, but uncovered. It is where your deepest understanding rises without language. So tonight, choose silence once. Sit with 10 breaths and nothing else. Let the wind stop. Let the candle reveal what has always been there. And ask yourself with quiet honesty, if silence holds the answers, why have I been running from the teacher that never speaks? 9. Detachment is emotional freedom. You hold tightly and call it love. You cling to people, outcomes, identities, and dreams and call it purpose. But the monk whispers in the dim light, clinging is the root of fear. Freedom begins where attachment ends. Detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. It is the ability to touch life without trying to trap it in your hands. It is holding water in an open palm, present, alive, yet never imprisoned. When you cling, fear is born. Fear of loss. Fear of change. Fear of becoming nothing without what you hold. The tighter your grip, the more pain you feel when life moves. Close your eyes. Imagine expectations melting from your grip like ice in sunlight. Feel your hands soften. Notice how the body relaxes when it no longer needs to control the river. What do you cling to? What happens when you loosen? Who are you without possession? A disciple once asked the monk, "If I detach, will I stop caring?" The monk replied, "When you stop clinging, you begin to care without fear." Attachment demands. Detachment allows. In modern life, attachment is invisible. You cling to status, to opinions, to relationships, to imagined futures. You cling to how others should behave, how life should unfold, how you should be seen, and when reality moves differently, suffering rises like a storm. Detachment does not mean leaving everything behind. It means meeting everything without chains. You can love deeply, work intensely, dream boldly, without believing your happiness depends on any of it. Here is the practice. When desire arises, notice the tension in the body. When fear of loss appears, soften the grip in your hands, jaw, and chest. Say quietly, "I can enjoy this without owning it." Let life flow through you, not belong to you. This is the spiritual turning point. When attachment loosens, fear dissolves. When clinging fades, gratitude appears. When you stop grasping, peace becomes natural and unforced. The monk looked at the open palm of his hand and said, "The sky does not cling to the clouds, yet it holds them all. You can hold life the same way, open, present, unpossessive, free." Detachment is not distance. It is intimacy without chains. It is presence without panic. It is love without ownership. So tonight, loosen one grip, release one expectation, open one clenched hand inside your heart, and ask yourself with fearless honesty, if I stopped clinging to everything, what kind of calm, spacious freedom would finally have room to enter my life? 10. Surrender awakens flow. You tighten your grip on life and call it responsibility. You force outcomes, control people, manage emotions, predict futures. Yet the monk says quietly, the river does not push. Control resists. Awareness flows. Surrender is not weakness. It is the wisdom to stop fighting what is already moving. It is the leaf that trusts the current, knowing it will be carried where it needs to go. The mind wants to steer the river, but the river already knows the way. You feel tension because you are rowing against life. You demand certainty from uncertainty. You demand permanence from change. And when life does not obey, you suffer quietly, blaming yourself or the world. Close your eyes. Feel life moving you gently forward, breath by breath. Sense the invisible current beneath your thoughts, beneath your plans, beneath your fear. Notice how much effort falls away when you stop resisting the flow. Where are you forcing? What happens when you allow? Can you trust existence even for one moment? A disciple once asked the monk, "If I surrender, will I lose direction?" The monk replied, "A boat that stops fighting the river finally discovers the ocean." Surrender is not giving up direction. It is letting a deeper intelligence guide what the mind cannot see. In modern life, surrender feels dangerous. You are taught to push, strive, control, and dominate. But control hardens the heart and exhausts the spirit. Awareness, on the other hand, moves with life instead of against it. Here is the practice. When something resists, soften your body. When anxiety rises, loosen your breath. When life changes, whisper, let it move. You are not here to push the river. You are here to float awake within it. This is the spiritual turning point. When you surrender, energy returns. When you allow, intuition awakens. When you stop forcing, life begins to cooperate in quiet, unseen ways. The monk watched a leaf drift on water and said, "The leaf does not know the path, yet it never gets lost." You do not need to know every step. You only need to trust the current beneath your feet. Surrender is not collapse. It is alignment. It is the courage to stop pretending you are the universe's controller and start living as its witness. So tonight, release one struggle, stop pushing one outcome, let one moment unfold without interference. And ask yourself with calm honesty, if I stopped forcing life and began trusting it, what gentle, powerful current would finally carry me beyond fear and into quiet freedom? We would love to hear your thoughts. If you are not sure what to say, just type, "My mind, my mastery." Choose awareness over identity. You have spent a lifetime saying, "This is me. This fear is me. This success is me. This role is me." But the monk looks into the fading light and says, "Observe," and freedom begins. You are not the mind. You are the one who sees it. Identity is a story the mind repeats until it feels solid. But awareness is the silent space in which the story appears. Like the sky untouched by passing storms, you remain unchanged while thoughts, emotions, and labels move across you. Close your eyes. Rest as the silent observer. Notice a thought arise, then fade. Notice a feeling come, then go. What remains when nothing is held? Who is aware of your thoughts? What remains when identity dissolves? Is this quiet peace your natural state? A disciple once asked the monk, "If I am not my identity, who am I?" The monk replied, "You are the space that identity visits. Names, roles, memories, and opinions are clouds. You are the open sky that allows them to pass." In modern life, identity feels necessary. You define yourself by achievements, relationships, beliefs, and wounds. You defend these definitions as if your life depends on them. Yet each identity is fragile, temporary, and shaped by circumstance. When you choose awareness over identity, something loosens. You stop needing to prove, defend, or perform. You watch emotions instead of drowning in them. You notice thoughts without becoming their prisoner. Here is the practice. When a strong emotion arises, say quietly, "This is being seen." When a label appears, whisper, "This is passing." Return to the sense of being the witness, not the actor lost in the scene. This is the spiritual turning point. When you shift from identity to awareness, suffering loses its anchor. When you rest as the witness, fear becomes a visitor, not a ruler. When you stop living as a character, life becomes direct, open, and alive. The monk watched the storm clouds drift and said, "The sky never fights the storm, yet it is never harmed by it." You do not need to fight your mind. You only need to remember what you are beneath it. Awareness is not distant. It is the quiet sense of being here, before words, before stories, before judgment. It is the peace that was present before you learned who you were supposed to be. So tonight, drop one label, release one identity, sit as the silent witness for one breath, then another, and ask yourself, with deep, gentle clarity, if I am the awareness behind all experiences, what freedom becomes possible when I finally choose to live as that awareness instead of the story it watches? Bonus. The moment everything changes. The moment you stop thinking, something ancient inside you opens its eyes. The monk speaks softly in the fading light. When the mind rests, the soul awakens. You have been living in night, guided by thoughts like flickering lanterns, never noticing the dawn that was already rising within you. Thinking pauses, and life begins. Not as an idea, not as a story, but as a direct, quiet experience of being here, without commentary. Presence dissolves suffering, because suffering lives in the argument with what is. Close your eyes, sit in silent presence. Feel the simple fact of existence, without needing to explain it. Notice how the body breathes without instruction, how awareness watches without effort. This is the dawn breaking through night. What shifts when you stop thinking? Is peace already here? Can you stay? A disciple once asked the monk, "Is awakening something I must achieve?" The monk replied, "You awaken when you stop trying to wake up. You have been searching for peace as if it were distant, while it has been sitting quietly beneath every thought you chase. In modern life, you believe constant thinking equals progress. You plan, analyze, judge, compare, replay, and predict. But all this movement hides the simplest truth. Life is happening before thought, beneath thought, beyond thought. You miss it because you never stop talking inside. Here is the practice. Pause between thoughts. Rest in the gap after an exhale. Notice the silence before the next idea appears. Do not fill it. Do not fear it. Let it widen naturally, like a clearing in a forest. This is the turning point. When thinking slows, emotions soften. When narration stops, reality becomes vivid. When the mind rests, the soul awakens into calm, unshakable clarity. The monk watched the first light touch the horizon and said, "Night does not end by force. It ends by light appearing. You do not need to destroy your thoughts. You only need to notice the light that was always present behind them." Presence is not dramatic. It is quiet, ordinary, gentle. Yet in this gentleness, suffering loses its grip, fear loosens, and joy becomes subtle but steady. You are not required to become someone else. You are invited to stop being lost in the voice that never stops speaking. In that stopping, you return to yourself. So tonight, let one thought pass without following it. Sit in the silent presence that remains. Feel the dawn inside your chest. And ask yourself, with calm devotion, if everything changes the moment I stop living in my head, am I ready to stay in this quiet, living presence where peace has been waiting all along? Quick summary. When you stop using the mind when it is not needed, you begin to save your inner energy, dissolve mental exhaustion, and reconnect with present awareness. Your mind is not truly tired. It is overloaded with unnecessary noise, repeated thinking, and emotional narration that drains your vitality. Most suffering is not caused by life itself, but by the constant mental stories we create about reality, trapping ourselves in imagined pain. The moment you release old memories and emotional attachments, the past loses its power, and the present becomes light, open, and free. Your mind creates drama to protect identity, meaning, and control, but this constant emotional stimulation keeps you trapped in restlessness and fear. When you discipline your attention, instead of trying to control life, clarity naturally appears and inner balance becomes effortless. Thoughts are not reality. They are temporary mental events, and recognizing this truth immediately weakens anxiety, doubt, and emotional reactivity. Silence teaches more than endless thinking ever can, because in stillness, awareness returns to its natural calm and intuitive wisdom awakens. Detachment is not emotional coldness, but inner liberation, freeing you from dependence, expectation, and fear of loss. When you surrender mental control, life begins to flow naturally, allowing intuitive action, effortless success, and emotional stability. Choosing awareness over identity dissolves ego-based suffering and reveals peace as your original nature. And in the moment, you fully stop living inside your head. Clarity, freedom, and deep inner stillness quietly take their place, transforming everything from within. When you finally step out of your mind, you do not lose direction, you regain clarity. Life slows, the heart softens, and awareness opens a doorway into deep peace. You realize that freedom was never something to achieve, but something to remember. The moment you release mental control, presence begins to guide you, and in that gentle awareness, suffering naturally dissolves. As Zen wisdom teaches, sit quietly, doing nothing, and spring comes, and the grass grows by itself. In this silence, carry one gentle question with you. Who am I when I no longer cling to my thoughts? If this message resonated with your soul, remind yourself to like and share this video. Share your thoughts in the comment box for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful life.